Everybody's talking about quarterbacks, Lance. Everybody's been talking about quarterbacks this entire offseason. The new thing in the NFL is going to be this attempt to do quarterback movement. These guys want to move around like they do in the NBA. They want to be able to move around. Unfortunately, for a lot of these guys, contracts in the NFL are not structured that way. So, for example, a guy like Russell Wilson, who if he wants out of Seattle, for Seattle to move Russell Wilson, they would take a $40 million cap hit this year, which would cripple the team for an entire year. So guys like him are really hard to move, but players are making an attempt. They're making an attempt to actually make this happen. So today's show is going to be completely dedicated to which quarterbacks are going to be moving and where they're going to be moving to. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to break it down by each division as we go along. We're going to start off with the AFC East. AFC East. Let's talk about some of the quarterbacks in the AFC East. Let's decide if they're going to move. If they're going to move, what their value is, if they're free agents, where they could end up right now. Let's start with the AFC East. Who you got?
Okay, so let's start with the easiest team in the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills.
All right, well, this is an easy conversation. Josh is not going anywhere. That guy's staying there probably for the next 15 years if he doesn't get hurt. That's the quarterback in Buffalo. Buffalo's quarterback situation will not change. Next.
Okay, so next is the Miami Dolphins.
As much as everybody thinks that Miami's going to move away from Tua, I kind of disagree. I don't believe that you can tell if a quarterback's going to be good within 6 games. I just do not think that's possible. Peyton Manning led the league in interceptions his first year. I mean, if you would have, as a matter of fact, Peyton Manning set a rookie record for interceptions. If you would have thought Peyton Manning was done after year 1, you would have missed out on what is possibly the greatest quarterback of all time. I mean, it's him and Tom Brady in the conversation, in my opinion. So if you would have cut Peyton Manning right away, you would have said he's useless. Ben Roethlisberger was not a great quarterback his first year. He ended up going undefeated. I think he was 14-0, if memory serves me correct, and the team was 15-1. But Ben Roethlisberger was not great. That team hid Ben Roethlisberger. So they played a game that was really built around running the ball, throwing the ball very little. Ben Roethlisberger was decent, but not as good as he ended up being. A lot of guys are like that. Drew Brees ended up getting released from his first team, or not re-signed. I'm sorry. That people forget, Drew Brees was a second-round pick by the San Diego Chargers. San Diego Chargers believed so little in Drew Brees after 3 years that they drafted Phillip Rivers. Drew Brees started in front of Phillip Rivers the very last year he was there. Then they let him go, and they kept Rivers. So they let go what was maybe one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Again, he's in that conversation, and kept Phillip Rivers, who was a decent quarterback. So I don't think they're going to – my point is I don't think that Miami is going to let Tua go. Tua stays. Who else you got?
Okay, next team we have is the New England Patriots.
Cam Newton is going to be in a broadcast booth next year. Cam Newton will not be re-signed by anybody. In my opinion, he's going to be in a broadcast booth next year. What do you think they're going to do, Lance? How does New England fix the problem? They go into the draft? They go into free agency? What's the move? Make a trade?
I believe that the New England has always been a sneaky team when it comes to deals and transactions. It's like they're like the San Antonio Spurs of the NFL. They always have some tricks up their sleeve. So I won't be surprised if they trade up and be in that like top 7 position in the first round from there, be it like a Trey Lance or even Mac Jones.
I disagree with you there from that point. I think that New England is the best at what they do, and what they do is they wait for it to come to them. They're very good at just kind of waiting things out. Like Cam Newton, they just waited it out, and they ended up getting Cam Newton. Now, to them, that was going to be okay for them. New England's not the kind of team that dives really into the market unless they see a lockdown corner or somebody like that. If it's on defense, they'll jump into the market. Offense, they just don't do it. I don't know why. I think New England. I don't disagree that New England drafts a quarterback. I think they might go after a Mac Jones, or they may wait until the end of towards the end, the very, very end, and then end up getting like a Foles or someone like that, or getting a Gardner Minshew out of Jacksonville. They'll get someone like that where you'll be like, oh, that's a sneaky good move. So I agree with what you're saying about sneaky. I just disagree about the timeline that you put on it. I think that they're going to get somebody, obviously, because that team has no one that can play right now. Last team in the division is the
New York Jets for the AFC East.
Jets are drafting somebody, and they're going to move away from Darnold, which I believe is probably the best move for them. There are a lot of people that believe in Sam Darnold, but I think Sam Darnold is going to move. He's going to be traded. I don't know where he's going to go, but I'm going to leave it to the sports nerd to tell me what the value is. Think about Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is a above average quarterback. I think maybe an average quarterback. Hasn't really shined at all. He's got 1 year left on his deal. What do you think the value is for Sam Darnold?
The problem with Sam Darnold, he has always been a prospect ever since he entered the NFL, but apparently he hasn't really panned out ever since. Could it be a product of him not really that good, or could it be a product of not being in a good team? So that's the question that the other teams would like to answer if they would like to acquire the services of Sam Darnold, because it's imminent that he will be out and New York will be getting a quarterback in that second overall selection. So I guess given his what he has shown lately, the highest that I would give for Sam Darnold is a second round draft choice. I wouldn't give a first round for Darnold because he hasn't proven to that level yet. But the interesting fact about him is that he's still young. There's still a lot of room for improvement in him. And given a better coach and a better overall facility around him, better group of guys around him, I guess he will be able to do a lot of wins and take a team to the playoffs.
Yeah, like we've had this discussion before. I'll just repeat it again because I think it's worth repeating. Does the quarterback make the coach? Does the coach make the quarterback? Is it something in conjunction with each other? Either way, Sam Darnold did not play very well for Adam Gase last year. So did Adam Gase and his squad not bring Sam Darnold to the promised land, not get him as good as he should have been? Or is it one of those things where you think to yourself, well, if Darnold was any good at all, he still would have won 6 games in spite of Gase? So I don't know. I think you have to go back and look at the tape. You have to really, really break it down. And I think a second round pick for Darnold would be pretty much fair.